The impudence, the audacity, the unmitigated gall of those Knuckleheads of Liberty podcasters, daring to voice opinions outside the mainstream of accepted thought. Listen if you dare. It's angry, it's funny, it's even sometimes sad, but it's always based on freedom and justice, as you will see. Here's our host, Jason McPhee.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. We are coming at you on July 6, 2022. So we just passed Insurrection Day. I mean, Independence Day, rather.
Insurrection Day. Okay.
But I tell you, we're just, stumbling through blunder after blunder of Biden's, and we'll get into a few of those in the show. But before we do that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. And boy, aren't those pilots in demand nowadays, I tell you. And my name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So, anyways, let's get to some of the crazy stuff that's going on. So, Biden is once again reintroducing the Democrats' big flaws of trying to open up the filibuster again. I guess he didn't learn from it the first time when they opened it up, and it bought the Republicans a few extra Supreme Court justices, and so now he's talking about doing it so that he can get some kind of federal abortion law in. But if there's no filibuster, then once the Democrats lose power, they're very likely to be able to keep the Republicans from doing what they want to do on abortion law. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I mean, it's just Biden playing checkers, I guess, when everybody else is playing chess.
I mean, these people seem to lack any sense of intelligence. Okay. Now, the last time this whole deal about the filibuster came around, Harry Reid wanted to put some appeal court judges on the mostly on the DC Court of Appeal, which is one of the most influential of the court, probably the most influential of the courts or the appeals courts. Harry Reid wanted to do that. Well, Harry Reid is now dead, is now deceased. He wanted to do that. So they carve out this exception for the appeals courts, and he was able to pack the DC court. You know, he put in a bunch of the nominees, got them confirmed and all that, and then lo and behold, Scalia died, and Obama brought up Merrick Garland, who is now the Attorney General. He nominated him. But Mitch McConnell, the Republicans were in charge by now. Mitch McConnell said, no, we're going to wait until the election. He waited until the election. Well, lo and behold, Trump won. Well, so the Republicans do exactly what Harry Reid did. They killed the filibuster for Supreme Court justices also. And what happened? Trump ended up putting 3 Supreme Court justices on the court. And now we having all these rules which they don't like, all these rulings and decisions that they don't like. People on the right tend to like them. I do. Most of the rulings so far, I'm very comfortable with them. But this is what's wrong with these people. They love to talk about how the courts are illegitimate because it does not give the rulings, the decisions that they like. When the election came about, when we had the 2020 election, and Trump went to court and nearly all of his cases were thrown out, Biden and company was talking about, our results were affirmed by the courts. All the left was talking about, they were affirmed by the courts. But now that the courts are giving decisions that they don't like, all of a sudden, you know what? The courts are illegitimate. I think there's an H word that Tim and I have agreed that we're not going to use, but there's an H word that's quite appropriate right now.
Has it ever not been appropriate for Biden? Sorry.
Yeah, I think the answer to that question, are Democrats this short-sighted? I think the answer is yes.
And I don't think they care. I think maybe they just enjoy changing the rules of the game in the middle of the game, and then they, when it's to their advantage. And I think in the back of their heads, they just think, and then when it comes back to bite us, we'll just change the rules back.
Yeah.
I think that's what they think. I don't know. I mean, but the answer is yes. They're going to do whatever they want to do.
Well, Tim, it worked for them with the riots of 2020. What was it? 2020. Yeah, and then the Republicans have their one riot on January 6th, and suddenly the rules all change.
Oh yes, man. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, these people were burning down our cities. The left, Black Lives Matter, and all of these people burning down our cities. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about that. But Trump and his people, well, these Trump supporters, they entered the Capitol. Oh my goodness gracious! We had an insurrection. People were killed. We even had a small section of Seattle seceded from the United States, or from the city of Seattle. Seceded. Listen to this. We fought a whole civil war because some states seceded. We have a bunch of people seceded. They're walking around with guns. And this fool of a mayor up there was talking about the summer of love. The summer of love. Unbelievable.
Yeah. With the blessings of the mayor, no less, and of course the not all those people's businesses necessarily wanted to go with them. they went along for the ride, whether they liked it or not, and had a whole bunch of strange-looking people with guns standing outside the door, telling them they're the new police in town.
And these are the people. These are the people who are talking about defunding the police, and these are the people who tell us we should not have guns. But they allow these people who seceded from the United States or seceded from the city of Seattle, they allow them to walk around with guns and end up killing some innocent people.
Yeah.
Well, and also remember that in the terrible insurrection of January 6th, people were invited to go into the Capitol by the Capitol Police themselves.
Yeah, there's video. There's video on this. Yes.
Yeah, where they actually come this way. So the insurrectionists were invited by the defenders. Essentially, that's what you want us to believe.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's so funny too about that whole Seattle thing is that they had a police force there, just a makeshift police force of about, I don't know, 20 people or something that just, led by some gang leader where they were walking around with guns. And in the space, and remember, all this started because they were worried about police violence with, people who hadn't been, proven guilty in a court of law, essentially, just suspects, right? And in the space of about 4 weeks or so, those 20 police wound up killing about 3 or 4 people. So, that's what they were protesting, and they literally were showed that they well, speaking of governments who really have a hard time struggling to do anything right, or certainly demonstrate to us how wrong in California, the idea for fighting inflation is to throw more money at it. So Gavin Newsom is going to start sending out checks to all of us. And, I guess we're living here, so I suppose we'll be getting those checks, all of us. But, gosh, it's you talk about just wrong-headed ideas for fighting inflation, just, ruining more price signals and sending out $1,000 checks to people to get through the inflation. It's kind of like the whole school debt issue. Oh God, school's getting more expensive. What are we going to do? Oh, we'll throw more government money at it. That'll solve the problem. What do you guys think about this? I mean, it just sounds.
I did a lot of research preparation for this. As much as I had my time allotted. To find out where does this money go when it's in a surplus, and is there an account that it goes to? What type of an account, and so on and so forth. Of course, there is something, and that those checks get cashed and they're put into the general fund or the coffers of the California state government. I don't know where that is. I can't find it for the life of me. Maybe Leon knows off the top of his head, but the point I was trying to do to make about this whole thing is, first of all, this is already tax money that they confiscated from us.
Yes.
And so it's for in that respect, I divide money up into two types. Either it's new money, brand newly printed with no, of course, it's all fiat currency, but I mean, it's brand new printed money, new stuff that's never been printed before. And then boom, it gets spent by the government right into whatever it is. Now, in California, they don't have a printing press. They don't have a central bank, so they can't do that. However, they received $26 billion in federal funds. I don't know if that was just last year or the year before, but so you could say that all that money was brand new money. So you could say that they're returning some of that brand new money, or you could say that they're just returning the old money that was already in the possession of the taxpayer before it was taxed away from them and into the state coffers. So in that sense, it's non-inflationary if it's the old money. If it's the new money, it is, but it's just new money that's already been factored in or its effect has been felt by the inflationary pressures on the economy already. And it's just finally making its way into the hands of the people. So, this is a roundabout way of saying I'm kind of on the fence as to whether this is truly inflationary or whether it's just simply changing the possessor of the money back to its original person that earned it, that taxpayer. What do you think, Leon?
Well, to the extent I see a point, Tim, but to the extent that money is fungible, because California does receive quite a lot of federal funds, and you are right, they did receive a chunk of money. I think it was last year actually, about that 26 billion you were speaking about. They did receive that from the federal government, which was newly printed. So
yes.
If you think about money as being fungible, you can see where the inflationary effect could occur. But you are right. There's only one saving grace in all of this, that California itself does not have a printing press where they could be printing dollars, right? These fake
thankfully.
dollars. Yeah, yes, we thank the good Lord for that. But that money could still have inflationary effect because money is fungible. It doesn't matter that this dollar came from the federal government or that dollar came from the California taxpayer. But this is just socialism at its worst to start with, okay? Because they're taking money away from us, the working, and well, maybe some of the middle class too, and yeah, maybe some of the poor too, and they're just returning it. They're just distributing it to everybody. This is socialism, okay? This is socialism. We don't need another stimulus check to supposedly, oh my goodness gracious, we're gonna go spend it money and everything is gonna be nice and wonderful. This is gonna increase demand anyway. You're increasing demand. You're gonna have some inflationary effect from the increase in demand. If demand is increased and there's no change in supply, of course, then it will have some price effects, and that price effect will be inflationary. So they're not doing anything for us. Okay, they're not doing anything for us except buying votes. That's what they're doing.
Well, so you're saying that if it was for sure exactly that person's tax money that was returned to them, then you're okay with it. But in this case, it seems like the predominant payers of California state income tax is the rich. So you're saying they're transferring wealth from the rich to all the general population, mainly poor people or lower income people.
That's what they're doing. They even
is that what you're saying?
Yes. If you look at the description of what they're going to do, there are limits on income limits on who could get this so-called stimulus.
Well, you're right. You're right. Yeah. In that sense, you're absolutely right. And but I still am on the fence about its inflationary aspect. And again, it's only in my mind, it's only due to whether it's old money or new money. So, for example, you take old money. Some rich guy earned something. He had a rich guy had a business and he earned a bunch of profits, and the California state taxed away a portion of his profits. Okay, that's still old money. Okay, then they turned around and they gave that money to poor people and just said, okay, we're not going to spend it on infrastructure or the schools or any of our pet projects. We're going to give it back to these poor people. So in that sense, you would say that the poor people have a tendency to spend it right into the right into the economy. So in that sense, it would be maybe partially inflationary because it's going from someone that would invest it somewhere else, probably more of a long-term investment like in a stock or such, and somebody that's going to go out and spend it on groceries and gas and things like that. So so in that sense, it might have that inflationary push, even though it's all old money.
It's kind of a distortion in the economy because what it's doing, I think, is it's shifting it towards the goods that everybody is concerned about going up. And that's literally what they're trying to give them the money to buy more of. So, the idea is, I mean, the price signal is telling us to conserve if it's going up, right? I mean, that's kind of literally what it's trying to do, is tell us there's something that's. And so, maybe we have to cack on whatever that is we're using instead of, hey, let's shovel some more money into your hand to go buy more of it. So I don't know. But I mean, I agree with you, Tim, though, in principle, because it's the state and they're not printing money, it's not changing the net amount of money. Maybe the speed of money is changing a little bit for one reason or another, but otherwise, So, but speaking of printing money, and I know who would love to have a money printer. Gavin Newsom certainly would, but apparently the military has a problem with their printers. They literally have these overruns with contractors where apparently they are listing some of the printers at $1 million. Some of these budgetary things. So I guess there's confusion between the contractors are saying the printers cost, a few $100. Apparently the military is listing them on their inventories at like $1 million a printer. So, so you wonder where all this stuff goes. And I mean, I'm wondering, are they just selling $1 million printers because they think they can print billions with them? I don't know. What do you guys think?
It was suggested just recently that this is how the government hides its black operations. Those that are off the books. So they say this thing costs $1 million, but really truly it costs maybe a few $100, and then the rest of the money go to some R&D project somewhere without anybody knowing it. I don't want to be conspiratorial because I don't follow this sort of conspiratorial logic, but they're saying this is how money is shifted around without accountability. But I don't believe that. But anyway, since the beginning of time, government have always been inefficient at handling the taxpayers' money. And we don't have good accounting systems to take care of that because the people who are handling the money, it's not their money. So they don't have to care about it. So when I dealing with my little $1,000 or my $200 or $300, I'm going to care about it. Okay? But when they're dealing with my $200, which I pay to them through taxes, they don't have to care about it because it's not their money. So since the beginning of time, governments have been doing this, and they're just continuing the process, that nasty process of using other people's money for all sorts of things that they're not supposed to be using it for, and just destroying the value of the currency that is being used to pay for goods and services in the United States.
Yeah, good point. As far as purposely hiding certain budgetary line items like black ops or something like that, or not, I'm not privy to that information one way or another for sure. It's potentially logical, but the main thing is I have friends that aren't flying the flight hours they need to stay current in military aircraft as fighter pilots and the like. And you can that's just common knowledge that the average hours per month has dropped off quite a bit in preparation to prepare our pilots and keep them current. And that's just one little example. And then, maybe this is why the founders didn't like a standing army, because they're going to buy $1 million printers in the future. They presciently forecast with a crystal ball. But meanwhile, the Marine Corps is just, they're just the bad, the evil stepchild, and they just sit there and make do with their little crumbs that they get. Yes. And I don't think they're buying $1.1 million printers. They can barely get along, but they do, and they still do the job. So, I don't know. This is what happens when you have this massive leviathan of government, and it just sucks the life out of the economy and everything else.
Yes,
and in so many different ways. This is just probably one little tiny way that you have this massive amount of fraud, waste, and abuse in this leviathan, gigantic, enormous government, great God, almighty great God government that we, and especially those on the left, love to feed.
Yeah.
And to add insult to injury, we give these people trillions of dollars of tax dollars every year to manage, whatever they need to do in terms of running the federal government and the state government. We give up so much of our money, okay? And these people still talk about it's not enough. They're still talking about they have certain people not paying their fair share. Well, do something about the fraud and the waste and abuse that is going on within the federal government, and let us see us that you are actively doing something about those things, and then you could talk about people paying more. Don't be having you spending $1 million supposedly on a printer, and then telling us we're not paying our fair share. So what the hell would be our fair share? You want a $2 million printer? Is that what you want?
God, think what the ink cartridges cost for that thing. I mean, usually that's the loss leader, the printer.
Yeah, the printer is the loss leader, exactly.
Well, imagine too the budgetary supervisor on this. They're just rubber stamping these things to say $1 million a printer. Yeah. That's got me good and triggered, Tim. What's on store for good guys with guns right now?
Well, we got another. We got another old guy versus young guy again. This guy, his nickname is Lurch. So, and this guy's even older than I am. So, and this happened back in April 4th. There's Lurch. That's not a very good picture of him, but anyway, a 74-year-old man living in Akron, Ohio, told police he shot a teenager multiple times. Yeah, I think you got above that. I think you got a better picture of Lurch. No, yeah. Maybe not.
Right here.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
he does kind of look like Lurch.
Yes.
Multiple times after he broke into his home last week, the homeowner asked to be identified by his nickname of Lurch. Told Fox 8 Cleveland the home invasion happened around 7:30 in the morning, March 29th. Oh, I guess it happened in March. He said he opened fire when the teen came crashing through his front glass door. The hurt teen rolled down the steps to the basement where he allegedly grabbed a shovel. I shot him again, Lurch said. He then kept an eye on the intruder until police arrived. As far as I know, I hit him 3 times. The suspect is reportedly a whopping 16 years old. Most would agree that within reason, someone has a right to defend themselves. So in that case, someone, wait a minute, I just copied and pasted this thing. Someone broke into his house and that he's confronted with an unknown person with an unknown motive. All those things will be taken into consideration. Lieutenant Michael Miller, spokesperson for the Akron Police, told WKYC. The teen was treated on scene and then taken to a hospital. Lurch believes the teen may have chosen his own because his truck is currently in the shop instead of the driveway like it usually is. Fooled him, didn't I? Lurch asked. Lurch said he always keeps a firearm close by because he's been shot several times in the past, and his home has been broken into before. Maybe he means he was shot at several times. I don't know, or maybe he has been shot several times. He is, after all, Lurch.
And 74 years of age. So hey, who knows? He might have been shot several times.
Yeah. After all that time.
Well,
Pardon me.
better that the good guy with the gun is still on his feet, though.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So,
indeed, indeed.
yeah. Well,
Yeah. But a 16-year-old better change his ways if he wants to make it to 17.
I suppose so.
Yes.
Well, speaking of old lurching guys who wonder how they stay on their feet, that takes us to our Knucklehead Noise Patrol. And, well, we got our favorite Knucklehead back again, and that is, oh gosh, let's see, I got to get this image off the screen here. That is Mr. Biden. So let's see, where is there it is. Apparently Joe Biden and I mean, Joe Biden's gotten to the point where he's literally blaming the gas station owners. And he said, for the high price of gas, which is just absurd, and here's the tweet that he put out this last Saturday. He said, my message to companies running gas stations and setting prices at the pump is simple. This is a time of war and global peril. Bring down the prices you are charging at the pump to reflect the price or the cost you're paying for the product, and do it now. Yeah, jeez, it's just so ridiculous. Maybe we could keep the image just a second, because that got called out by Jeff Bezos. Said, ouch, those the owner of Amazon. He said inflation is far too important a problem for the White House to keep making statements like this. It's either head misdirection or a deep misunderstanding of basic market dynamics. Yes, Joe Biden is functionally illiterate with economics. Tell us something we didn't know. What do you guys think about this?
Obviously, Joe Biden believes in Santa Claus, right? Obviously, okay, because he thinks that how Santa Claus has come, and he, whether you been good or bad, he still give you a gift. He think he could these gas station owners could just be Santa Claus, and they could just give us a gift. That they just get up in the morning and they say, well, we're gonna charge them $10 a day so we can do that. There's no such thing as supply and demand concept in this mind, in the head of Joe Biden. Obviously, it is Santa Claus setting the prices, and Santa Claus could make them lower these prices, and everything will be nice and wonderful in the utopia of Santa Claus. This man is insane, illiterally insane. He's illiterate and insane. I don't know what else to say about Joe Biden. How he won the presidency is beyond me.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that part. Yeah, well, gas stations have razor thin margins. There's no way they have room to play around with that kind of thing. And so once again, it just shows how far out of touch somebody that's been working under government at government his entire life has become. They're completely divorced from reality that you and I happen to live every day.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we have to live in reality, and our time is ticking off for this show. But we're going to be back for the next one pretty shortly. So until then, stay free and check us out for the next one.
Indeed. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.